You were on.
I was on, yes.
She stopped.
Well, they had only like one page of pictures.
I was a little late, I had a technological problem, but I was definitely on in time to get the whole solar service. So that was easy, she was good, right? It was good.
I mean, everybody knew that a long time ago.
Yeah, oh no, absolutely. And I didn't get Larry's email today.
Yeah, I got his email today, and he was very grateful. He had mentioned that you were contacted.
Now, my hope was that they could stay
Yeah,
last
yeah,
week.
so I've been in touch via email.
I'm sorry.
And,
No, she geeked it out. She geeked it out. She wasn't telling anybody. And I couldn't find out.
The email today was a little confusing.
that's okay.
Whether it was because his speech was a little bit better, maybe, than it was.
Oh, this one presented. Yeah.
The only thing is, if you look at him, he looks
Yeah, I'm not going to notice.
awful. And the eyes are fairly open.
Let me just look it up.
Well, that's because he's hiding his magnetic.
Yes.
Maybe you're familiar with it. They, in addition to the chemo.
5 minutes.
You know, I have a list.
Who's Gabby I'm talking to?
It's magnetic. It's supposed to suppress.
It was really weird. It was really, Karen's father.
Last couple of weeks, it's been in my pocket the whole time.
It was very clear and the words seemed to come, but like.
Kind of like that Simon Schuster. Forgot to put the towels on.
Right.
It's so good. It'd be fun to do something with this hand.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I did get, they're gonna take me a week early. Because he's not gonna be there the week I'm scheduled.
You're so many good ideas.
As long as you get it
Hi,
done.
Mary.
I don't have to execute all of
Not
them.
just to see the
That's the problem. That's the problem. Those that suggest volunteer.
Right.
Sorry.
So I had taken Amtrak all the way down to Philadelphia. I wasn't going to drive 8 hours. It's a long drive. All you need to do is take a ticket or something.
Hi, Mary. Hi, Les.
Hey, Leslie. Hey, Mary. Shabbat Shalom. We're all ready for you when the time comes. I rolled the Torah for you and everything.
I can hear you. We're good.
So did you tell Leslie that she knew we were doing the Aliyah too?
She's very excited.
You ready for that one?
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hey, 1.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
And to our many families for whom tomorrow is a joyous holiday, Merry Christmas. In fact, you know, the idea of bringing light into the world, each of us from our different traditions have festivals where we celebrate light. And wouldn't it be amazing if we found that we could relish and take joy in each other's festivals, and all of us talking about changing the darkness in the world to bring something brighter into each other's lives. So I guess that's as good as any segue into lighting Shabbat candles, so that we can put the week that has been aside and we can look forward to the respite of this next day and a renewal for the week to come. We're on page 120 in Mishkan Tefillah.
Okay. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us, as their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Oh,
It's a backwards blessing. Oh, hang on. It's not lit. No, Harry.
Oh, oops.
And then you make it go back. And then you close the top.
I'll never learn this.
I think you will. See?
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
absolutely.
I need to do it more.
O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. Bless all who enter this sanctuary in need and all who bring the offerings of their hearts. May our worship lead us to acts of kindness, peace, and love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kirshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
The heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God finished the work that God had been doing, and God ceased on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. And God blessed the seventh day and declared it holy, because on it God ceased from all the work of creation that God had done.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu l'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron l'maaseh v'reishit ki hu yom tehillah l'mikra'ei kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim kivanu v'acharta v'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim v'shabbat kodshecha ve'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen. L'chaim.
L'chaim, l'chaim.
Thank you, Margie.
So we are going to continue as we enter the liturgy of our service on page 144. I'm going to ask that we rise for Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal v'yitkadash mirabah.
Amen.
V'yamad yifrach yurtei v'yamnichmach urtei v'chayechon v'yomechon u'chayedecha ben Yisrael v'hagala u'bizman karir v'yimeru יהי שמרה במבורך, לעולם ולעולם מהמיה יתברך. יברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ותרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה. לעילא מכל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דמירם בעלמא, ויאמרו אמן. We continue. Baruch hu et Adonai, המבורך. Baruch Adonai, המבורך לעולם ועד.
Page 149, at the top, please join me. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, ha'ma'ariv ha'ravim.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, תורה מצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו, בשוכבנו ובקומנו, נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו באורך ימינו, באורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם, יומם ולילה. ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד.
Please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ושוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם בארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
We're going to continue with the Song of the Sea, Mecha Mocha, the Song of Freedom, which is the crescendo moment that begins with this week's Torah portion. As we enter the book of Exodus, we begin the story of our servitude in Egypt, which will end in this great moment when we're freed and we get to literally experience the miracles of water parting and allowing us to leave our baggage behind as we walk into freedom, spiritually, emotionally, physically, we pray. We're on page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושה חוקי הים לפני משה מרים, זה לידו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך, אדוני ימלוך, לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Page 160. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, v'amidenu shomorenu l'chaim, ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha, v'taknenu be'etzad tova milfanecha, v'oshienu l'ma'an shemecha. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace, and raise us up, O our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, for your name's sake be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, O God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious to us. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Praised are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all the people of Israel, over Jerusalem and the world. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. In celebrating this wonderful day of Shabbat, this day of renewal, we continue as we move into prayer. We're on page 164. I ask that we rise as we enter tefillah.
Adonai, sevatai tifkach uvi hagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomer Hasadim Tovim, Mekonei Hakol, V'Zoher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, Nevi Gula Livnei V'nehem, L'man Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Chozer Moshe Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Abraham, Li'ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor L'olam Adonai, Mechei Kol Atah, Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv HaRuach U'morid HaGashem, Mechakel Chayim Bechesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Samech Noflim D'Alfei Golim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayim Emunato, Lishenei Hafar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umidom Melach, Melech Memit Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'neman atah hachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol, Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Doshim b'chol yom yahalu chasela, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'il hakadosh.
Please be seated. Join me, please, at the top of 173. We'll read together. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat. And so we will take a moment and offer thoughts in our hearts, prayers for thanksgiving, prayers for restoration, prayers for peace, understanding that if we don't do something with them, then they're bracha levatala, prayer without value. So take some moments, not just thinking about the things we need to think about, but how we can commit this day of rest and the week to come to fulfilling those needs.
יהיו לרצון אמרי פי והגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי אדוני וגואלי, וגואלי.
Anybody remember the Schlitz beer commercial? You only go around once in life, right? Go for all the gusto you can get. That was a nice marketing way of teaching carpe diem, seize the day. And that is a mainstay thought in our lives. Don't miss opportunities. At the same time, one of the great sages, Yogi Berra, said it's never over till it's over. And a dear friend of mine who is probably one of the great teachers of Judaism in America, it's never over until Casey Stengel sings Kol Nidre. Thank you, Joel. Joel Grishaver. Not well, but Joel had a way of putting things. And in any event, in this week's Torah portion, we find the tension between the Schlitz commercial and it's never over until whenever. Moses will approach the burning bush, and the Midrash says he's following a lamb who has strayed. The Torah just says he's on his way and he sees this burning bush and he stops because the bush burns unconsumed. And it's an anomaly. It's something he wouldn't have expected to see. And according to Torah, angel appeared to Moses in the heart of the fire in the midst of the bush, and Moses hid his face since he was afraid to look at God. So there's a dispute within our tradition whether he should have seized the moment to see God, or did he act with appropriate humility and waiting to see how things played out. So in Moses' first prophetic revelation, he covers his face and won't look on the holy site. The question and the disagreement within the tradition, we find Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha saying that because you didn't look at my face, Moses, when you want to see my face, which is going to happen, about 30 chapters later, God won't show God's face to Moses. I gave you the chance. You didn't seize the moment. You were too afraid. Anybody remember Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Well, if you haven't seen it, you need to. It's one of the great parodies of medieval Christian philosophy. But in any event, at one point when King Arthur finds God, he starts to hide his face, and God says, don't do that. And he starts to cower, and God says, stop groveling. I'm tired. I'm tired of people trying to hide themselves from me. And so Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korcha says effectively that Moses, make the bush burn so that you wouldn't look. I wanted you to see. I wanted to engage you. And so he'd missed the extraordinary opportunity, and you might never get it again. The flip side, Rabbi Yochanan on the other side argued that Moses' action was praiseworthy. As a reward for being humble and not needing to see what God looks like, but willing to experience God's presence, Moses returns from Mount Sinai later on aglow himself. His aura is changed. And that tells the whole world this is the symbol of humility. Someone who doesn't have to own God. Someone who can experience divinity. And the question is, which is the right answer? And we'd like to be able to say 2 rabbis, 7 opinions, but there may be something to both of them. But Rav Kook weighed in. Rav Kook was effectively the first chief rabbi of Israel, the Palestine Mandate. And he says it really, the question involves, what's the ultimate goal in living? Why are we here? Why do we pursue value in life? And if we think that there's a goal, what do we need to do to achieve it? So Maimonides would argue that human perfection is attained through reason and through intellect. And the goal to gain enlightenment and knowledge of divinity is through study. You open the book and you study with people and you have the conversations, you think about the metaphysics of the world and how things function, and when you can intellectually make sense and go from point A to point B, then you've transcended. And so in hiding his face, as Rabbi Yoshua points out, Moses didn't engage the book, didn't engage in the study, and effectively turned himself away from God. The humility was out of place. But Bachya, Ibn Pekuda, from Duties of the Heart, he wrote that the objective of living should be to become better in our ethical behaviors and our moral character. And we should look to experience life not in the moment and certainly not out of fear, but out of an engagement. And so Bachya will write that had Moses looked at God, it would have been in a moment of fear, because the awesomeness of this bush that burns and the voice that comes from God, and the engagement would not have been one of desire, but one of fear. And so Bachya would argue that if you are going to learn and to grow, then you have to do it over the long haul. You have to invest in faith. It's the duty of the heart to invest in faith and not want the immediate response. And by the way, the Torah ends, there's never been a prophet who's known God, panim el panim, other than Moses. So Moses, through the experience of faith, figures out how to look at God, how to engage face-to-face with God from a place of engagement and not a fear. So we can't intellectualize God. Maimonides, and this is one of the times I think he was wrong, and I'm glad to know that I'm not alone in this, because you can't intellectualize God. How can you empirically prove that there's a God? God transcends empirical proof. We know there's stuff beyond us, but how can we point to something specific and say that caused that? But I do know that when people tell me that they're an atheist, I say there is no such thing. Because you go to sleep at night and you leave it to something to make sure the world continues, and you have such faith that it's going to happen that you go to sleep knowing it's going to be there in the morning. And when it's there in the morning, it's part of your expectation, and you can't prove that. And so the problem in faith is that we're afraid to let go. if we can't name it, if we can't quantify it, if we can't own it, we really struggle to believe it. And that's our insecurity. That's the place where we fail in faith. And if we allow that, then the question that Bach would answer is, why do we live? If we are willing to admit the defeat because we can't prove something it doesn't exist, then what's the purpose of being? We love people. We can't prove why we love people. We love people. We look forward to being in situations. We look forward to achievements. We look forward to education. We look forward to all of these things not knowing what's going to happen. Martin King taught us that faith is taking that next step when the stairway is dark and you don't know that it's there, but you believe heart and soul that it is. Faith is taking care of doing something for someone, not knowing that you're ever going to be thanked. The rabbis teach us that one of the great places for the ultimate gift of faith is at the cemetery. When we fill the grave, we return earth to the grave. And there's no thank you that can ever be said for that. But in our hearts, we know that there's a sense of appreciation in the world that someone was cared enough about that we were there to take care of. And so we have to make a choice. And we're about to study our enslavement. We're about to study, as we go into through the book of Exodus, what it means to be stuck in someone else's rules, in someone else's bondage. And how when Moses does come, we don't want to be free. We fight against Moses because he shows up. And the whole struggle from that point, I would argue through the rest of the Torah, is how do we make the intentional decision to let go of making intentional decisions and find ourselves in places of faith? We're a prophetic people. It means we know that there has to be something better than what we have. We may not be able to name it, but we know we have to head in that direction. And so it's time for us, folks, as we study bondage, to also understand that the ultimate source of freedom is to just believe. Amen. Please rise.
Susharim Rosheichem Bechinasu Pitche Olam Ve'yavo Melech HaKavod Mehuze Melech HaKavod Adonai Tzvaot Uhu Melech HaKavod Seida Umelech HaKavod Selah Selah Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo Lecha Adonai Hagedula Hagedula Vativer V'Hanitzach V'Hahod Yivol Hashamayim Uvaretz Yivol Hashamayim Uvaretz Lecha Adonai Hamalacha V'minaseh Lechol Lerosh Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim La Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Ha'olam
Please be
Amin
seated.
Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Al Shlosha Devarim Ha'olam Ha'olam Amin Al HaTorah Ve'al HaAvodah Torah, ve'al ha'avodah, ve'al gemihut chasadim. I got it.
Okay. So this is this is your bat mitzvah portion, right?
Yes, and.
Last
to-
week,
Yeah.
Rabbi?
That would be 57 years ago. But this is, my actual bat mitzvah was on Christmas Day, 25th. So the portion and the date are almost the same. That doesn't usually happen.
That's right.
Well, Rabbi Leslie Bergson is going to be reading. Mary Walker Barron, her wife, is going to be doing the blessing, honoring you for your bat mitzvah anniversary.
Yeah,
Okay?
it was a while ago.
Yeah.
And they didn't let me read Torah in 1964.
No, but I'm blessed to say that Rabbi Bergson was a classmate of mine at Hebrew Union College, so we go way back.
Yeah, we did.
We're on page 398 in the plowed commentary at chapter.
Which is the red book.
And
When did we start? Oh.
so, Rabbi, you said that you didn't have the privilege of reading Torah in 1965, you said?
Four.
1964? Well, I want to say things weren't much different either in 1984.
Oh, great.
I didn't also read Torah for my bat mitzvah, so it took a little while for that to change.
Okay, are we ready?
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, it's right here, Mary, Moshe.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvarak.
Baruch Adonai hambarak le'olam va'ed. Baruch Adonai hambarak le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hamvarak le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen. Amen. Umoshe. Where's she going? Umoshe. Haya ro'eh etzon yitro chatono kohen midyan vayinhag et hatzon achar hamidbar vayavo el har ha'elohim choreva vayera malach Adonai elav bilabat eish mitoch hasneh vayar v'hinei hasneh be'er ba'esh v'hasneh einenu ukal vayomer Moshe asurana ve'er'eh et hamar'eh hagadol hazeh madua lo yiv'ar hasneh Vayar Adonai kisar lir'ot, vayikra elav Elohim mitoch hasneh, vayomer Moshe, vayomer hineni, vayomer al tikra halom shel Vayomer al tikra halom shel na'alecha me'al raglecha ki hamakom asher ata omed alav admat kodesh hu vayomer anochi Adonai Elohei avicha Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Ve'Elohei Yaakov, Vayister Moshe panav, ki yirei mehabit el Elohim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chaye olam nata betochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah.
Amen.
Please rise.
V'zot ha'torah asher sam Moshe lifnei b'nei Yisrael al pi Adonai v'yad Moshe. V'zot ha'torah asher sam Moshe לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. Lai 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 lai.
So let me first, Rabbi, thank you. Mary, thank you. At this point in our service, we're so appreciative for the lessons that have been given to us, taught us all our lives by those who have come before us, that this Torah represents the living tree that continues to spread its roots and its leaves. We take special attention for those who can't continue to join us because of illness or infirmity. And we ask God that we help find ways to bring them back to health physically, spiritually, emotionally. And so tonight, along with all those who are suffering from weather, suffering from inhumanity, illnesses and injuries, we're thinking about those who are close to home. Rabbi Robert Orach, James Appio, Vicki Bernstein, Nancy Baskin, Steve Goldsmith, Doreen Lapperdon Addison, Martha Brandwing. And if we're holding anyone else, please share their names.
Lois Goodman, Howard Jackson.
Barry Gilchrist, Donald Bach.
Sandra Jessup.
Baruch atah Adonai Rofeh HaCholim. God, make us instruments of healing.
Our prayer for healing can be found on page 371 in Mishkan Tefillah.
Misha beirach avotenu mikor habracha beimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misha beirach imotenu mikor habracha le'avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. Ki lekachton natati lahem torati al ta'azohu etz chayimi lama hazikima v'tomecha me'ushar derachecha darchei noam mechon tivotecha shalom. Ashivinu Adonai elecha v'nashuva chadesh yameinu kekedem chadesh yameinu kekedem.
We're on page 586.
Aleinu l'shabeach la'adon hakol, la'tei gedula le'otzer b'reshit, shehu noteh shamayim b'yotzei haaretz, u'moshage karo b'shamayim mimahal, u'shchinat uzo b'govhei merumim, u'Eloheinu enod, v'anachnu korim, u'mishtachavim u'modim, lifnei melech, Malchei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch, V'ne'emar, V'haya Adonai, Lemelech al kol haaretz, Bayom hahu, Bayom ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד.
And our thoughts turn to those who have left their earthly life. We hold on to them in our hearts, and we continue to walk with them and grow with them even years after they've left our hands. This week's Yortzites, this week's anniversaries of those who've passed: Emmanuel Baruch, Raymond Becker, Selma Burtis, Leonard Gittleson, Elizabeth Heidema, Irving Hoffman, Colette Katz, Edward Klein, Ann Klatsky-Kobrin, Esther Komar, Joseph Lansky, Judith Lissy, Laura G. Miller, Abraham W. Miller, Nettie Morse, Clara Newman, Herman Pernick, Lillian Pinto, Hyman Reisner, Howard Semmer, Gertrude Snyder, and Muriel Turk. Are there other annual Yortzites being observed this week? We are in Shloshim, the first 30 days of memorial for Francis Lebate, Israel Joe Katz, Jeremy Frank Gable, and Bobby Goldstein. Zichronam livracha. May the memories that they leave to us always lead us to blessing. We're on page 598 for the words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yikadash shemei rabba, be'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chai echon of yom echon, u'beit Yisrael, ba'agalav v'zman kariv imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'olam l'olmei. Yiparach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei l'kudsha b'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shrata tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlomo rabba min shemaya v'chaim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom imromav Hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
Osei shalom imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru. Amen.
Please be seated.
Except for you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
I'm Wayne Hallard, and on behalf of Monmouth Reformed Temple, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us tonight, both in the sanctuary and via live stream. We have some announcements for this evening. There is no Torah study this weekend. Our December Tzedakah collection is supporting Mazon. Your gift strengthens the fight to end hunger among seniors, military families, veterans, Native Americans, single mothers, LGBTQ seniors, and the people of Puerto Rico and the territories and all who struggle. Reminder that next Friday, like tonight, the service will start at 6 o'clock. Mark your calendar for our first Friday Shabbat on January 7th. We will resume our first Friday Oneg and dinner. Look for more information in next week's e-blast. And for those who don't get the regular email that announces the e-blast every week, if you go on our website, up on the top, there's a spot where you can click on upcoming events, and that will take you right to the e-blast. For the protection of our MRT family, please stay home if you feel sick or believe you have been exposed to COVID. Our synagogue continues to engage together in meaningful ways. We would love for more people to invest in our mission of helping others and connecting as a Jewish community. We welcome your investment and gift to help us continue to grow. For information on joining our MRT family or making a donation, please contact Jordana Steinberg in our office or visit our website, www.monmouthreformedtemple.org. As always, Rabbi and Cantor are available as well. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. I wanted to make a brief thank you to our remote camera operator who's working afar and has done a wonderful job for us for the past year, making our services so much more engaging through live control. So wherever you are, our congregation is so grateful to you for working on the holiday and making our services special, and for working next week on another holiday. So thank you, live control.
And everyone else. You know, we have people who set aside their own time to take care of us, and it's especially appropriate each time for us to say thank you and to sometimes help out. Right now, during COVID, of course, it's hard to volunteer anywhere. And I've tried, you know, for several years before COVID, we had a growing number of people who would help make and serve dinners in the different churches and pantries in the area. I looked around this year, and unfortunately, everything is prepackaged. But Lynn?
Several of us represented out who are serving breakfast at lunch break tomorrow.
Lunch break, we'll be serving breakfast tomorrow. But
Thank you.
thank you for that. Yeah, and but it's important for us to find ways of appreciating each other by giving back and making sure that if we want to be able to have time with our families and friends, that we make it for other people as well. And I guess that that's a nice way of bringing us into remembering that, you know, the sign that we ask for between God and for us, making heaven and earth touch, is for us to reach out beyond ourselves and beyond our own comfort levels to reach and to then be able to receive as well. We're going to close tonight with Ki Yishmer Shabbat on page 634, reminding us that this covenant, that this day should be something that we work on not just in the 24-hour period of Shabbat, but should lead us to do this all the time so that we'll bring that day when Shabbat will never end.
Ki eshmer ha-Shabbat ve'el yishmereini. Ki eshmer ha-Shabbat ve'el yishmereini. Oti le'ol me'an ve'no uve'ni. Ki eshmer ha-Shabbat ve'el yishmereini. Ki eshmer ha-Shabbat ve'el yishmereini.
So with that, we're going to say Motzi for the second to last time of the year.
Okay.
Right?
Together as a congregation.
As a congregation for our Shabbat. I hope that you will take the opportunity to say Motzi at least before every meal every day. There's a debate whether you can say Motzi at McDonald's over a Big Mac. And one will argue it's not kosher food, and so you can't. And another side will argue it is food and it's sustenance, and if it's going to lead you to do good work, absolutely you should be appreciative. Surprise, I'm in the second camp. Okay? So with that, though, we're going to also ask that because this is a season of celebration, that we make sure that we help each other celebrate. So with that, Cantor?
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
May our going out and our coming forth bring us blessing and peace, and may we celebrate with each other as we move from strength to strength and joy to joy. Amen v'amen.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.